This is Todd Nichols.
And I'm Melissa Nichols.
We're therapists with the Family Attachment and Counseling Center, parishioners at St. Hubert's, and we're back to share some more information for you people out there who, like us, are staying at home and staying safe. Melissa's going to start again.
Thank you. Last time I talked with you a little bit about anxiety and some things that we can do to help manage anxiety better. So this has been a common theme with all of my clients at this time. And we talked a little bit about how anxiety, with a root word from Latin, angustia, means narrowness. And how do you broaden your perspective? So today I'm just going to talk a little bit more about broadening your perspective, and through one simple thing, that is generosity. Thinking about somebody else in your mind, doing an action for someone else, and getting outside of yourself. Because it's good to look at yourself and look at things that you need to change, but right now, during times of crisis, what we need in a world is generosity, because that gives us hope. I'm going to tell a couple stories just about generosity that I've seen during this time, of what some of my clients have done to combat this feeling of being overwhelmed. One client that I work with, we were talking about anxious times and how people are going and they're loading up on toilet paper and paper towels and canned goods and all sorts of stuff. And I told a funny story about one of my colleagues who is expecting, his wife is expecting a new baby. They are expecting together. And he has two little girls, and how he went 3 times out to the store to find toilet paper and came up short. And how was he going to explain to all these women in his house, I have no toilet paper for you? So I told this as a funny story to this client. And this was a client where her husband had just gotten laid off, and where she was about to be laid off as well from her job, and didn't know where her finances were going to be and what was going to happen. And she has children, and her anxiety levels were really, really high. But she came in the next session after hearing that story about my colleague with 2 paper bags full of toilet paper. And she said, I've just been thinking about your colleague and those little girls and his pregnant wife, and these are for him. And that act of generosity not only helped my colleague and helped me because I got to witness it, but it also helped her because she did not think in that moment about her situation. Another recent event that happened with one of my clients is that their local florist was closing up because of these times, and was giving away free flowers. And they loaded up their car with free flowers, and they delivered it to all of their neighbors on their doorstep. Or other clients who know that somebody actually has the virus and is recovering at home and isolated, and they're leaving food at their doorstep. Or even some of my teens that are knitting hats and scarves for Christmas presents. Whatever it is, if you can think of something where you're outside of yourself, whether it's calling people that you know just to check in to see how they're doing, or writing letters to people who might need a letter during this time, that will help you. Because our job right now is not to focus on ourselves and our own anxiety, but to focus on the bigger perspective, which is, where does God want us in our life, and how do we connect with our neighbor? So Todd is going to talk with you about the second half here.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. I'm going to share a couple of techniques that I teach clients very often to help them cope with feelings of anxiety. One of the ways I explain anxiety is that it usually involves worries about the future. And when you worry about the future, then your mind is obviously not fully in the present. Rather, you're focusing on the future, and of course the future is something in the future. It's something we have little, if any, ability to control. But being in the present moment, which is the place where we also meet God, only in the present moment, not in the future or in the past. But bringing yourself back to the present moment by grounding techniques can often help people reduce feelings of anxiety. So a way to do grounding in the present moment is it's a sensory experience where a person tries to get in connection with their body. So if you can imagine right now, if you can direct your attention towards things you don't normally pay attention to, such as the feeling of your feet in your shoes, or maybe the feeling of your shirt's fabric on your shoulders, or even the feeling of your watch on your arm, or whatever the situation is, your legs on the chair if you're sitting down. And really just focus on that bodily sensation, and that can help ground you in the present moment and avoid thinking about the future, which helps you to control your feelings of anxiety. Grounding in the present moment is a very powerful tool to cope with anxiety feelings. So that's what I have for now. I think we are done with this segment, and we wish you the best as you continue to cope with these times. God bless.